Welcome back to our discussion and our series based on choosing marine electronics. This is Joe Panessa, Nick Mraz, I'm Pete Prespiora. We're all in the process or just recently purchased marine electronics for our own boats. And since we have no brand affiliations, we figured it would be fine to discuss what we found to be the best features and benefits from all three of the manufacturers and why we chose to go with what we did or what we might be leaning towards. And we did bring in some experts to kind of help us out with some of these decisions. So thanks to Robbie Storr, Bob Downey, the folks at Intune Marine. We did a bunch of discussions to get deep into the weeds here about what worked best for us. So this discussion is going to be based on user interface. So basically, the ease of use of operating all the features of your marine electronics. I'll start off on this one, only because it's pretty simple when it comes from me. I'm pretty novice when it comes to really diving into all the features and benefits of electronics. Really, honestly, I make waypoints. I use my side imaging to drop waypoints. I maybe jump around on my maps a bunch. I don't do a ton of diving deep into the user interface of my electronics. So therefore, Humminbird to me, and specifically my Helix units, have always been a friend of mine. I can't really get myself too deep in the weeds and find myself lost in my units or screw up my settings. It's really simple to operate. So the user interface for me with the Humminbird Helixes have been kind of like a comfort blanket, really easy for me to use. So I haven't felt the desire to switch until recently as I tried a Garmin unit on my bow for forward-facing sonar. I saw that the user interface in the Garmin was extremely simple as well, so I've been thinking about putting one at my wheel in conjunction with my Humminbirds to share maybe some waypoint stuff. I've loved that feature of Active Captain we talked about in our navigation and GPS episode of this series, so if you're interested in that, those features, that's a different one. This is all about user interface. And Brian Bankston from Intune Marine took me through the user interface of the Garmin units, and he had a lot of nice things to say about that.
I would say ease of use. Garmin's are incredibly simple to use.
Yeah,
that
seems like a pretty cool feature to me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you get hung up in an area, everything is very easy. Big boxes, click it, go back. Home button. There's not a lot of stuff going on there.
Thanks to Brian, I learned a lot about how the ease of use of these Garmin electronics and the user interface, which is making me more confident about trying to link up a unit on my bow with another one at my wheel. But I know, Nick, you have all Lowrances currently. What about their user interface is what made you go that way with Lowrance? Because I know you just recently rigged your boat out with those.
Touchscreen. That was my really only concern. It's the best touchscreen on the market, I believe. It's so simple. You can create all sorts of different pages that you want to see. Down imaging, side imaging, 4 on at once. On a 12-inch unit makes it really easy to use. And even Aaron Teal at Intune Marine had more to say and a little bit to agree with.
I use these quick handy features. I put a fish icon for number 1, click that, and I can write down with the touchscreen, 3-pounder, 4-pounder, super easy. It's just so simple.
I'm glad you mentioned those quick access keys. That's something, I mean, we all have radio presets or whatever in our vehicle, but those quick access keys, we all kind of want to use them differently, so they're super customizable. It's funny you say that. So like what I'll do is when I'm scanning, let's say a grass edge, I'll have short press green and the long press is purple. And when I find, a more dense clump of grass or an isolated clump of grass, I'm doing a long press. And when I'm maybe marking out just that grass edge on the spot, or I'm using the green icon. So you can really hone in. If you're talking rocks versus boulders, you can make different icons for that, and you can make it as quick and easy as you want. So
unmatched level of customization.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get used to using that, like Lowrance user interface. To me, it's always seemed intimidating from the outside. I don't own any of the new Lowrance units, but I've been in my friends' boats with them, and it just seems like you have to be really technical to operate it.
Years ago, I had a real small 7-inch Lowrance screen, so that's kind of how I got my basics to know how to work it. But it's been, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, a few times on the water to really know where things are. Aaron and I had a few things that we agreed on, but also Bob was agreeing with you a lot. It's the Helix units are easy to use. He knows how to use them.
Yeah, so I'm still a little bit old school in running Helix units. I have a touchscreen phone, but I don't have touchscreen units yet. I like the simplicity of them. I'm just used to them. It's what I've had now for like 10 plus years, I'd say. I love the interface on them. The only thing that I think is better on like the Solix units or the Apex is maybe being able to change waypoint definitions faster. You might be able to rename them faster than you can on the Helix units. The nice thing with these is you can supplement that with an icon instead of typing in rock. You can just put a rock icon. So that makes it a little faster, but yeah, I'm just used to them. They're simple. I feel like I have less issues from a power standpoint and a processing standpoint with these. They just seem to be pretty quick and easy. And not saying I'll never try the Apex or the Solix. I see a lot of guys are running them with live technology now, so that might be something to look into in the future. But for this year, I'm going to run Helixes.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep going with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Joe, what did Robbie have to say about user interface?
Yeah, so we dove into the user interface with both the Helix and the Solix units. Before I stray too far, one thing I do like about Lowrance units is the custom, you can customize the templates on your graph. So you can pick whatever style you want. You can have GPS, 2D sonar, side imaging,
So like
down
a memory
imaging.
buttons on a...
It's the splits. So like on a lot of graphs, like on a Humminbird, it comes with preloaded splits that are basically predetermined for you what your views are. So like one thing with the Lowrance unit is you can customize those. Like Nick was saying, he has many different views that he's probably customized to whatever he wants to view at a time, whether it's, 2D sonar with down imaging, side imaging, and mapping, and then you can customize the size of those splits on the screen, which is a cool feature that I like about the Lowrance units for sure.
Aaron Teal showed us how to put all of those onto one screen, but like what Joe was saying, for example, I've got, at my bow, I've got most of the screen, I've got active target, and then just a little sliver on the bottom. It's just a puny little thing. I've got side imaging in case I troll past something, a huge rock that I did not see. I'll be able to flip back toward that, back toward that. Really helpful.
That's cool.
But back to Humminbird. So we talked about the Helix and the Solix. The Helix is a button configuration, and this is kind of traditionally what Pete's talking about. Like if you want a graph that you can just take out of the box, power up on your boat, and then go fishing, it's literally that. Like you just plug it in and it works, and it's great.
So the Solix is actually our touchscreen capable unit, while the Helix is not in touchscreen, but I would say it's definitely our most popular model out there. The reasoning behind it is because it gives you every single high-end feature that our graphs are capable of, but on a very user-friendly experience. So there's only so many buttons you need to press right here to get to all the options that the unit is capable of. You have these 3 shortcut buttons right here, where if I held one of these down, you can actually have a shortcut to any of your key screens that you want to get to and get back to very quickly. And on the Solix here, you have all of the features that our unit is capable of, but on a more advanced system. Okay, so it's touchscreen. When I'm trying to side image right here, I can go over to a rock, hold the button down, mark a waypoint very quickly without having to scroll over like you would on a Helix unit. And then, of course, it has slightly better resolution as well on the Solix platform.
Very easy to use, and it comes with 3 shortcut keys. So like with my boat, I have one shortcut for my Lake Master mapping with a sliver of 2D for driving to spots. I have one shortcut that's just straight mega side imaging when I'm scanning. And I have one shortcut, which is going to be the 360. Once you link your 2 graphs, you can portray the 360 from the bow on the back. So if you have a Coangler in your boat, they're going to get that same 360 imaging as you have in the front. So you're not kind of, the guy in the back isn't, in a team tournament, this is super crucial. Like Robbie and I, we talk about in the video here.
Just to kind of break it down, At the console of my boat, I actually only use a handful of screens. Okay, one of the main screens that I use is side imaging and GPS split. So when I am driving around, scouting for fish, looking for structure, like we do, very often on our pre-fishing days out on Lake Minnetonka, we're using side imaging the majority of the time to look at the bottom and look for fish. And then I'm also using my GPS and Lake Master chip to see where I'm at on the lake and to follow certain contour lines at certain depths. Another screen that I use very regularly as a shortcut key is going to be the sonar GPS page, and I use that when I'm just driving around from one spot to the next. So I know what the depth is because I have my high-speed transducer in the water, and then I know where I'm at on the lake with my GPS page. The other shortcut key I use is actually the 360 screen, okay? So as I said earlier, I always share my 360 screen from the bow of the boat to the console. So my third shortcut key on a Helix unit, for example, is always going to be that 360 screen. So when we're actually fishing, we have the 360 up on the front graph and the back graph so we can fish more efficiently.
How we use that feature when we're both fishing a tournament, both of us having 360 has caught us so many more fish over the years.
That really upsets me personally because I never knew about that till just right now, and I've been fishing the back of my buddy Aaron's boat for a long time, and he's never shown me that feature. And I would love to see what he's looking at in the 360 when I'm the guy in the back. So I'm taking that one and using it right away this spring.
Yeah, well, maybe I regret telling you that, but that's okay. The more people who know, the better. It's a cool way to catch more fish, basically, and the guy in the back of your boat, with team tournament, just like I said, they could be picking apart a piece of cover that's 20 yards behind the boat while you're picking off a piece of cover that's 30 yards in front of the boat.
Well, I know for myself that what Joe's talking about with that Humminbird, if we're just being honest here, that's still my safety blanket. As I said before, I'm going to keep, no matter what I decide to do with electronics this year, I'm going to keep one of those Helix units at my wheel because I know I can operate it. I know it's easy for me to figure it out. Plus, just cost. I don't have the budget right now to re-rig my entire boat with a whole bunch of different new units and try that. We'll find out if I want to float it or not. But thank you for tuning in to this discussion on electronics user interface. Stay tuned. We're going to get into more features of electronics and what we learned from the experts we talked to and just about our journey in marine electronics.